unbelievable. I have a cool job. I have a very cool job. Welcome to Downshift and part 2 of Supercar Week. My name is Matt, and again, thanks to our friends at Mercedes-Benz of Milwaukee, we're here with a really cool car. This is the McLaren 570s. They don't make this car anymore, but I saw it when I went to go review their GT55, and I thought, well, I have to drive it, of course. So today I'm going to show you just about everything that you need to know about the 570s, and then we're going to take it for a spin. Now, before we dive into the details, we are going to cover some bases. What is a 570s? A lot of McLarens look kind of similar, and they all kind of have alphanumeric names, so they can be a little confusing. But this is how you can think of it. The 570 is, or I guess was, the entry point, or the, quote, sport series to the McLaren lineup. The 600s, like the 675 LTs, etc., are the super series, but then there's also things like the 720s, which are also supercars, and then there's the ultimate cars, like the P1 and the Senna. But again, the newest version of this would be considered the Artura, which actually has a V6 now, but that's a different video entirely. So a Sport Series 570s, and this one's a Spider. So what does this thing compete against? Well, you can kind of think of this thing as a competitor to the Audi R8, and it also kind of competes against something like maybe a Porsche 911 Turbo, maybe a GT3, but this 570s weighs about 3,300 pounds, so pretty light, a couple hundred pounds less than the R8, a little bit more than a GT3, and a little bit less than a 911 Turbo. And that is thanks largely due to the carbon tub that it's built on. Now we're going to talk engine, and the interesting thing is the engine compartment itself doesn't actually open. You can't really open it to see the engine, but when you open the driver's side door, and yes, the doors do go up, classic supercar stuff, there's this button here which you push, and then you've got this little compartment that opens up where you can put things like oil and water to cool the engine. So that is kind of cool. But when you do take this thing apart and you can see the engine, what you're going to see is the same 3.8 liter twin turbo V8 that you get in the Halo P1 and of course the 650s. It's kind of a similar engine that you see across McLaren's lineup, or at least you used to. And here in the 570s, it makes 562 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque. And it sounds incredible while it does it. But 562 horsepower and 443 pound-feet aren't huge power numbers by today's standards, but this thing, since it is only 3,300 pounds, gets 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Remember, this is the entry into McLaren's lineup. This is an entry-level car, you could say, and it also does over 200 miles an hour. And a lot of that lightweightness comes down to the suspension components being all aluminum, the carbon tub, of course, for the chassis. You get carbon ceramic brakes, and you get electronic adaptive dampers, depending on how you spec the car. So this thing is very quick and very responsive. And how could we not talk about the looks, the styling, and just the special factor? Now, unlike something like, I guess you could say its main rival, the Audi R8, and unlike the Porsche 911, you never see these things in the wild. So when you do, it is special. There's a sense of occasion. Like, everyone that I've driven past has gotten whiplash staring at this thing because it is just cool. Even on this more, I guess, quote, boring black on black spec, everyone knows that you're in something special in this thing. Does it make the car any better? I don't know, but does it make you feel a little bit more special? Probably. I mean, people just get excited about it. And how could you not? When you have things like doors that go up. I mean, that's pretty cool. Peacocking? Yeah. But pretty cool? Yeah. But we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about the doors because they are interesting in and of themselves. Now, they go up, as we saw, there's a little button here that you push, it's rubberized, and then the window comes down and the door goes up. But if you look carefully, it's actually multi-paneled. So this is the door component itself, and then it's got aero fairings and multi-layeredness to kind of feed air back into the intake. Because again, this is mid-engine, it needs air back here, and it's not as easy to do as with a front engine car here. So you have to channel the air from past the wheel through this slit, and then force air down through the door into the radiator there. But there's a couple things on the driver door here that I want to show you. We're going to push the button, it's going to unlock, and then it comes up. Now there's a few buttons here on your driver door. This is that button that we push to open the engine. This is a tow away mode button, so if you've got a dead battery or if your car needs to be worked on, you can do that. But then also take a look down here. There's a huge sill that you have to step over to get into the car. And of course you sit basically on the ground. So just something to be aware. This is of course a carpeted portion of the carbon tub, but it is just cool. There's definitely a sense of occasion here. Now of course the door is electrical. This is the button that you pull to open and release the door. But if you ever run out of battery, there is your mechanical failsafe here. You just pull this and then the door will open. And I want to talk lights real quick. They look like they're flickering. They're not actually doing that in real life. It's just kind of the way that the camera and the shutter speed works together. But look at the McLaren logo right here. Very classic McLaren logo we've seen for years. Does it look familiar in the headlight? Because it should. And it also should look pretty familiar in the taillights as well. Very cool. And of course, how could they not then put it in the headrests? And I am going to talk about wheels for a second because how could I not? They're the most loud thing about this car when it's sitting still and not on. These are Brixton forged 3-piece wheels. I think they're about $12,000, but they look pretty cool. I like the added personality that they give this car, making it not just black on black, and it does look pretty cool. I like that. And of course the little 570s logo on the rocker panel. This thing is pretty sweet. And we are going to talk about practicality, yes, in a supercar, because it's relevant, I think. You've got a frunk. It's actually a pretty decent size. Let me put the key away, open it up, and it's pretty deep in there, actually. I've got plenty of space. I've got my tripod under there. I've got my backpack on top of it, huge water bottle. I could put more stuff in here. And it also looks, maybe this is a dealer added option, but it looks like McLaren gives you a battery tender because this is probably your 9th car and you're not driving it every single day. But definitely a pretty reasonable space to put bigger stuff. But it doesn't end there. Now you don't get a glove box, as you can see, but no worries because you still have the world's skinniest center console, but at least it has 3 chargers and an aux port. That is a surprising amount of stuff. You've got this little bin right here. Maybe you could stow something back there. But you've also got storage down here in your center area. You could probably fit a small Red Bull in there. Of course, we've got our 570s designation, and then Surrey, England, very cool. And there's even some storage in your door, which actually you could fit a phone, a wallet. It's pretty deep, it goes down in there, so that is pretty practical, I would say. Now, fair play, this is the Spider, and obviously there's roof components behind the driver's seats. If you go for the coupe, or coupe, I guess you could say, you will have like a larger parcel shelf behind your front seats, which almost equates to like a rear seat that you would get in a 911. Maybe not quite that big, but similar to what you would get behind seats in an R8. I'm gonna close the door. Foot on brake. Oh my God. Interesting thing to note, no park gear, of course. You've got neutral and then your parking brake here. So very much like a DCT, very much like a manual, neutral parking brake. But I do want to talk about technology real quick because for its time and era when it came out, this was very advanced technology. Now it seems kind of like beta era stuff, but you do have a fully digital instrument cluster. No head-up display. Nah, no head-up display, but you do have a fully digital cluster. And then your center infotainment system here, it's pretty cool, classic stuff. We'll go to our climate screen because we have our climate guy with the racing helmet on like we had in the McLaren GT that we tested a couple years ago. And that's just kind of fun. There's some coolness to that. I really do like it. But again, you've got this button here, I believe, if I can see it. This will operate your nose lift, which will make it easier to get in and out of places without scraping the front of your McLaren, which of course makes total sense. And you also do have the upgraded Bowers & Wilkins audio system. But watch this, I'm gonna turn the car off, and it'll tell me how many days I can have the car parked before the battery goes completely flat. Because again, McLaren knows that this probably isn't your only car, you're not gonna drive it every day. So to have something like this will remind you, okay, I have to put a note in my calendar, I have to make sure that I drive my McLaren in 43 days. And we're gonna talk about the controls. This is not something that we typically talk about, but they're uniquely McLaren in here. First of all, we're gonna start with the steering wheel. You notice there's not a single button on here. It is carbon fiber because it is focused entirely on you driving the car. But look at this is your turn signal. It's very thin and kind of hollowed out. It like fits perfectly my finger. It's weirdly satisfying, but that is very uniquely McLaren. You've also got that same kind of design for your nose lift structure here. And then speaking of the steering wheel, your shifters, of course, they're paddle mounted. They're on the steering wheel, but they shift both ways. So to downshift, but to upshift, you just flick it the opposite way. So it's like on a rocker, which is just kind of cool. I like that. But then your center console buttons, you cannot change drive modes until you hit activate right here, or active, and then you can change drive modes, which is kind of interesting. You've also got your launch control in stark juxtaposition to your auto start stop. So you want to save fuel, or do you want to burn it? And then of course there's the top controls. This of course being the Spider adds a little bit of weight back into the car, but the top is fairly quick. And when the top goes up, it's like legit quiet and isolated and like almost luxury car. But I think now at this point, we've covered just about everything we need to, and we should go for a bit of a drive. What do you say? I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna do this with the top down, because I think that's the most authentic experience. But man, whew, man, oh man. Should we be in manual? We probably should be in manual. See, the thing that I'm very conscious of right now is normally when you're in like a normal car and you're like hooning a little bit, you make a little noise, you go a little fast, you can kind of blend in a little bit. It's hard to blend in a Spider McLaren, you know what I mean? We'll see how it goes. I love the shifting. Push down into first. All right, here we go. Oh, okay. Oh my God. The DCT is very good. All right, hold on. It's 3.8 liter twin turbo V8. Sounds incredible. A little intoxicating if I'm honest. And yeah, liftoff pops on the overrun. I'm at like 2,000 RPM, 2,500, but fast. A little bit of turbo drama, a little bit of spool time, but here we go. And power. Oh my God. Oh, it's so light. Oh, it's so light. On power right there, it's dry. It's like mid-50s today. The back started to go a little bit this way. Oh my God, what a cool thing. I didn't get that from the R8. I did not get that from the R8. I think that's turbo torque here. Okay. Oh my God, brakes. Okay, let's talk about some driving stuff real quick. Because there is a little bit of turbo lag, but I think that adds some fun. There's power right away, and then you can feel it build a bit like a tidal wave. And brakes, it's not the immediacy, it's not the immediate bite that you get from most like modern normal cars where there's a bunch of bite at the top of the pedal and then you go deep if you like really need some. You do have to put pressure on the pedal. It feels a little bit more race car that way. It feels like you have to work a little bit more for braking. When you're actually going fast, it feels natural. It feels really normal. But when you're just putting around town, like pulling out of a parking lot or something, it does feel like, oh my gosh, where's my brakes? But the DCT, oh, it's just fast. Oh my God, and the cracks that you get on shift, unfreaking believable. It is fast, and it feels special. If the main rival is the Audi R8, this feels way more special. I do feel like I'm sitting on the nose of the car. I have so much frontward visibility, and it's just, I want to get into some turns because we've got great tires on here, really light car. Man. It moves. Not a whole lot of feedback from the steering, but quick rack. I know McLarens don't necessarily have the best reputation for like build quality or refinement or luxury, but boy, do they deliver on the driving experience. Listen to that turbo spool! What the heck? Oh my God. What do I always say, guys? I'm about the two things, the sound and the snap. This is it, Chief. This is it right here. Really, really good. And it's not beating me up. I'm not being destroyed. I'm not being killed by the ride or the suspension here. This is good. This is really good. I kind of want one. Oh, that's a dangerous thing to say. That is a dangerous thing to say. All right, we can go through this green light here. Oh my God, so much grip. Unfreaking believable. The limits of this car are so high. I just went through that stop sign, or that stoplight. I just went through that intersection thinking, okay, yeah, I probably am near the, no, not even close. Not even close. Brakes are great. You got to put your foot in it, but they are great. Oh my gosh. Woo! I'm sorry, I don't have like B-roll or anything. I'm just kind of letting myself experience this because this is genuinely special. And I think that's the mark of a good car is, you know, maybe it's not the most like journalistically objective, but like I'm in a McLaren with the top down on a sunny day, just banging off shifts from the DCT, turbo noises, cracks on, oh my God. I mean, it's just overwhelming. This is an emotional thing. This really is. So much more than the R8. The R8 is great, but this is so much more like emotionally fulfilling and exciting because we have to. Race brakes. You hear them squealing a little bit. Also, you sit low, so like seeing past the left turn, difficult. So I'm in sport mode here, and I'm on some pretty choppy roads. It's stiff. But it's not as stiff as I thought it was going to be. It's stiffer than my M340, but not by a huge amount, and that kind of surprises me a little bit. In comfort, it's actually pretty good. By the way, this is 2,000 RPM. This is how loud it is at 2,000 RPM. There's so much theater to this car, and I'm here for it. Now I'm at 1,500, off throttle, just maintenance throttle. It's fine. I'm in 5th, going 37. I could live with this. This is not good. I'm like convincing myself that I need to buy a McLaren 570s. I think I would be divorced immediately. I have a cool job. I have a very cool job. Like it's so easy to get in trouble because it sounds so loud and crazy at like pedestrian RPMs.
K-band.
K-band. I know what that means. Okay. We're gonna hit a little spinny on-ramp, so I'm just gonna let the car speak. So balanced, so balanced. Maintenance throttle. Oh my God. Did you hear that crack? Oh my God. It's the shifts, man. It's the shifts for me. Unbelievable. What a special day. What a special day. Let's see if I can get the top up. Come on, top. Perfect timing. It feels very dual clutch. I'm just gonna let these guys go because I'm gonna get on them very quickly. Oh my God. I could do this all day and I would go to jail so fast. Also revs to over 8,000 in a turbo. I just love it. I just love it. So with that, thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Milwaukee for letting me have a go in such a special car. This is really cool. Thank you. Huge thank you.